read this, it said, iron isn't destroyed by something outside of itself. It's destroyed by its own rust. And I thought, how many incredible people are being held back, not because they lack talent, but because they've allowed their thoughts to slowly rust away the belief in themselves. This is Dreams Don't Expire, and I'm just Janae, and today we're going to be talking about that rust. So, rust doesn't happen overnight. Nobody wakes up one morning believing they're not enough. It happens slowly. One criticism, one disappointment, one failed attempt, one betrayal, one dream that didn't work out. Well, over time, those moments become beliefs. Never be enough. I'm too old. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't succeed. Those thoughts become rust. They become the lies we repeat, and then they become our reality. Our brain believes what we repeatedly tell it. So if every morning you remind yourself of everything you've done wrong, you'll eventually stop seeing everything you've done right. And your greatest conversations happen with yourself. So ask, if someone talked to me the way I talk to myself, would I want them in my life? Rust doesn't mean you're ruined. Here's the beautiful thing. Rust doesn't change what iron is made of. It only covers it. So neither do your failures, neither do your mistakes or your grief or whatever thing you are telling yourself. None of those things change who you are at your core. They're big, but at the core, under all that rust, you're still strong. The rust is just covering the strength that you still have. Well, we all have rust. Even successful people, even confident people, leaders, everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. I've had moments where fear whispered louder than faith. Moments where I questioned if I was enough. Moments where I talked myself out of opportunities God was putting in front of me. The difference isn't having rest. The difference is refusing to let it stay. And understanding that you're not alone in it, because I always thought I was. So removing rust is going to take intentional work. You don't ignore it, you scrape it off. Replacing lies with truth, choosing gratitude over comparison, reading books that grow you, surrounding yourself with people who call out your greatness, and taking action before you feel ready. Giving yourself grace, which I've had to really learn, but it's one of my favorite things, is I remind people all the time, give yourself grace. And in reminding them, I remind myself. Every healthy choice removes a little more rust. So you got to protect your mind. We protect our homes, we protect our money, we protect our cars, we protect our family. So why don't we protect our minds with the same intensity? You got to be careful what you watch, what you listen to, what you repeatedly say about yourself, and that's a big one, because what gets repeated gets rooted. So my first big risk I took was deciding to go to a confidence retreat, and it was going to be 3 days out of state. I was going to have to travel alone. It means flight, hotel, meals, all alone, at a point where I never had. And I was going to walk into a room full of women I didn't know, all alone. And I was going to leave my family to fend for themselves, which they were totally capable of doing. My kids were adults. But I felt guilty for choosing to do something for me. I was going to be spending quite a bit of money on the retreat and the travel. So cue major mom guilt there. And I could have let fear convince me to stay because I was already feeling guilty. And staying comfortable isn't scary. So I almost let it convince me to not do it. But instead, I chose to believe there was more inside of me. Now, that the decision wasn't about having no fear. It was about refusing to let the fear become rest. And it was the best decision I ever made. It truly started my path of loving myself. At this retreat, I had to do probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. The decision I had to really step outside of my comfort zone. And it was when I broke the arrow with my throat, which a lot of you have heard this story. But the lady on stage, Deb, she put a blunt arrow right here, right in that little divot. And she had somebody on the other side holding a piece of board that the feathered end of the arrow was against. And she took 3 deep breaths and took a step forward, and the arrow broke. And I remember watching her going, oh, how amazing. And then they came around and they stuck that arrow on the table in front of all of us. And I looked at my arrow, and truthfully, my first thought was, oh, hell no. And then right behind it followed, I didn't come here to leave anything on the table. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the first one to do it, because I ain't going to watch other people. I will talk myself out of doing it. So I get up, Deb's holding my board, and we practice 3 times of 3 deep breaths and taking a step forward. And I remember practicing. I'm shaking. I'm terrified. And I am thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then I'm getting ready to do it. And Deb says, oh, wait. Let's get her a napkin so that she doesn't get blood. Excuse me? Are you kidding me right now? Okay, so I get my napkin folded up and put right there. Put my arrow there. And I took that deep breath. And I took that second deep breath. In between second and third, I felt a calm that I've never felt come over me. Excuse me. And I take that third deep breath and I step forward and I break that arrow. And oh my gosh, 10-foot tall, bulletproof. We're jumping and laughing and crying and feeling everything all at once. And I was so grateful, and I was so believing I could do anything. And it removed a little bit of rust. But I had to consistently keep removing rust, because, yeah, it gave me some confidence. But if I don't keep building that confidence, life's going to keep eating away at it, right? So if you don't keep working on removing the rust, guess what? It's not only going to not remove, it's going to build up more. And I don't know what kind of rust you've been carrying. Maybe it's regret. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's fear. Maybe you've convinced yourself that your best years are behind you. But seriously, rest is not your identity. I felt like it was, but it wasn't. It's only what has settled on top of who you really are, on top of your potential, on top of who you are meant to be. Your strength is still there. Jesus got to remove the rest. Your purpose is still there. Your dreams are still there. So today, stop polishing your excuses. Start removing your rust, because the world doesn't need the version of you that's been hidden by fear. And it's the version that feels comfortable, right? It needs the person you were created to become. And that person, well, that's uncomfortable. That's scary. That's going to take facing your fears. Your future isn't waiting on better circumstances. It's waiting on a better conversation with yourself. Let me say that again. Your future is not waiting on better circumstances. It's waiting on a better conversation with yourself. Start having a higher conversation with yourself. The greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't against the world. It's against the voice inside of you that says you can't win, that says you aren't enough, that says you can't whatever, right? Well, win that battle and you'll be amazed at who you become. Remove the rust and see your potential, see your strength, see who you are meant to be. This is your call to action. Don't sit in the rust. There's still that strong person waiting to come out, waiting to become who they are meant to be. Thank you for spending this time with me and for listening with an open heart and for choosing to invest in your growth today. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need the reminder that their dreams still matter. Sometimes one conversation, one message, one moment of encouragement can change everything. And if you want to go deeper, my book, Rise, Believe, Become, was written for the in-between seasons, the moments when you know there's more for you, but you're still finding the courage to take the next step. You can find my book on Amazon, and remember, no matter what phase you're in, your dreams don't expire. Until next time, keep rising.